In a world where love stories often dissolve beneath the weight of time and expectation, there occasionally arises a tale so wondrous that it invites people to believe all over again, such as the story of Yulong and Yang Mei Mei, two individuals whose paths collided through fate, perseverance, and a love that blossomed into a legend. Their marriage, hailed as the romance of the century, has captivated minds and awakened hearts across continents. It is a celebration not only of two souls finding each other but also of family culture transformation and a shared destiny that transcends tradition. For months leading to their wedding, whispers of anticipation echoed everywhere through cities, countryside, markets, and social media threads buzzing with speculation. People spoke not only of the elegance of their union but of the deep emotional story weaving them together. This article explores their journey from childhood dreams to adulthood, challenges from the spark of first connection to the vow of a lifetime. Their wedding became more than an event, it became a message that love is worth believing in. Yulong's journey began in a small mountain village flanked by rivers that shimmered beneath the sunlight. His parents were humble artisans, his father a wood carver, and his mother a weaver of silk. From childhood, Yulong learned the value of patience and detail. He spent his days painting landscapes, carving bits of wood into mythical shapes, and reading stories about ancient heroes who walked paths of honor and passion. Though he did not know it at the time, each of these moments prepared him for a love as profound as mythology. Young Mei Mei was raised in a bustling harbor city filled with the scent of salted breeze and the vibrant calls of merchants along the docks. She grew up surrounded by color-bright fabrics, ocean faces from faraway places, and the chime of seagulls that taught her to look beyond the horizon. Mei Mei adored literature. She immersed herself in novels and penned stories in the margins of her notebooks, dreaming of a romance that felt like poetry brought to life. She carried hope that one day she would find someone whose soul resonated with hers. Though their childhood seemed worlds apart, both Yulong and Mei Mei shared a quiet longing for something bigger than the ordinary. Neither could imagine how destiny would twist its threads toward each other. Their first meeting was unexpected. Years later, both had come to the great capital, Yulong to pursue visual arts, and Mei Mei to study culture and writing. The capital blended rich traditions with modern aspirations. It was a place where dreamers gathered and stories took shape. They met at an art exhibition showcasing young talents. Yulong's painting, a peaceful scene of two cranes dancing at dawn, caught Mei Mei's eye immediately. Something in the painting felt familiar, as though it mirrored a longing she kept deep within her. She stood silently absorbing it until the artist himself approached from behind. "Do you like the cranes?" he asked softly. Mei Mei turned and met his gaze. There was gentleness in his eyes, but also something deeper, mystery, soul, and sincerity. "They look like lovers," she replied, "dancing before the world wakes." Yulong smiled. He said he painted them thinking of a story from his childhood, two cranes who found each other across 1,000 miles. From that moment, the world seemed to slow. They spoke briefly, exchanged names, and parted ways, but that meeting left an imprint neither could shake. Days passed, weeks passed. They encountered each other again, this time at a tea house frequented by artists, poets, and thinkers. They talked for hours about stories, art, dreams, and the meaning of love. Mei Mei shared that she found beauty not in grand gestures, but in quiet moments. Yulong told her he believed that the greatest love stories were written in subtle acts of kindness. From that day, their paths intertwined, their connection deepened through long walks under lantern-lit streets, letters exchanged during busy times, and endless conversations under the stars. They did not rush. Their love matured like a poem, sometimes gentle, sometimes passionate, always growing. Yulong would sketch Mei Mei when she was not looking. He said she glowed brightest when she read, when she laughed, when she talked about things she cared about. Mei Mei found herself writing stories inspired by him in her notebook. She described him as the dream she did not know she was waiting for. Though both were rising in their fields, they remained grounded. They supported each other through deadlines, doubts, and challenges. Their bond survived distance when scholarships took them to different cities, and survived storms of uncertainty when the future felt unclear. What held them together was honesty and faith. They believed in the journey. Their families noticed, friends spoke of how their union felt destined. There was no chaos, no dramatic trials, only steady devotion. But like all love stories, there came a moment that tested them. Long came from a traditional family whose customs ran deep. His grandparents believed in old rites, arranged unions, and the idea that marriage should benefit not just two people but entire family lines. When Yulong shared his desire to marry Mei Mei, confusion followed. Who was she? Was her family honorable? Did she share their traditions? Mei Mei, though gentle, possessed great inner strength. She respected their concerns but refused to sacrifice authenticity. She spoke honestly, expressing her love for Their son and her willingness to learn their customs without losing her identity. Acceptance was not quick. The couple faced distance from Yulong's grandparents and uncertainty surrounding their future. The situation weighed heavily, yet they remained united. Communication became their anchor. Mei Mei visited Yulong's family, often learning their history, participating in festivities, and spending time with his grandmother, the guardian of tradition. With patient sincerity and gentle persistence, the family came to see the depth of her love. They noticed how she cared for Yulong's parents, how she listened when elders shared stories, how she honored their ways without abandoning her own. One day, after a long conversation filled with memories and ancestor teachings, his grandmother took Mei Mei's hands and whispered that a heart like hers was a blessing. The path to marriage had opened. Yulong planned his proposal with the same detail he put into his art. He chose a mountaintop near his hometown, the very place he used to watch the sunrise as a child. He invited Mei Mei at dawn, saying only that he wished to show her something meaningful. When they reached the summit, cranes glided in the morning mist. Yulong handed her a small sketchbook filled with drawings of every memory they had shared: the gallery, the tea house, their late night talks, their challenges, their laughter. On the last page, beneath a painting of two cranes dancing at dawn, he asked her to share life with him. Tears filled Mei Mei's eyes. She nodded. Yulong slipped on a ring. He designed himself a silver band engraved with mountain peaks and cranes. Their families rejoiced. The news spread quickly and preparations began for what would become a wedding like no other. The wedding location was chosen with intention, the meeting point between their worlds. It took place in a valley where mountains kissed rivers, symbolizing Yulong's origins, and surrounded by fragrant blossoms reminiscent of Mei Mei's coastal upbringing. Red lanterns hung from ancient trees, silk banners fluttered in the breeze, and pathways lined with lotus petals guided guests toward the ceremonial pavilion. The atmosphere blended heritage and imagination. Mei Mei wore a gown inspired by the sea and sky, soft shades of blue and white, embroidered with cranes. Yulong dressed in a traditional ceremonial robe paired with modern tailoring. As he waited beneath an arch of intertwined branches, his eyes shimmered with anticipation when Mei Mei walked toward him. Time seemed to still. Guests described feeling as though they witnessed something sacred, two souls returning home. They exchanged vows written by themselves, filled with promises of devotion, respect, growth, forgiveness, and shared dreams. Their union was sealed with three rituals: the binding of ribbons symbolizing unity, the tea offering honoring family, and the release of cranes blessing their journey. That night, beneath fireworks and starlight, Yulong and Mei Mei danced. Their love radiated like warmth across the valley, reminding all that true love, once found, illuminates the world. Their marriage became a tapestry of new experiences, travel, shared projects, quiet evenings, and challenges that strengthened their bond. They collaborated on artistic ventures, exhibitions, books, cultural programs. Together they showed the world that love thrives when partners grow individually and collectively. They continued visiting their families, honoring traditions, while building new ones. They taught their children stories of cranes, of patience, of love's quiet power. Their home became a sanctuary of creativity, walls lined with art, shelves filled with books, and windows overlooking gardens. Though the world watched them closely, they guarded their intimacy. Their marriage was defined not by admiration, but by daily choices to nurture love. Years later, storytellers still spoke of their union. Artists painted cranes at dawn, poets wrote about the lovers who defied expectations, families told the tale to remind children that love is possible. What made their story eternal was not perfection but dedication. They faced challenges, honored roots, embraced growth, and chose each other again and again. Indeed, their union is rightfully called the romance of the century, because love this pure does not happen every day, and when it comes, it transforms everything.